welcome back. I hope you all are having a great week thus far. As you can tell from the title and thumbnail of today's video, I'm going to review for you guys the Gillette Fusion5 razor, specifically talking about the issues related to shaving the beard in men and why I think this is a fantastic razor and why I recommend it, particularly to individuals who are struggling with issues like razor burn and ingrown hairs related to shaving the beard. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Andrea. I am a dermatologist. And you know, my YouTube channel is largely a lot of fun vlogs of my life, but also skincare tips, skincare product reviews, and skincare routines. And I do have a demographic of male viewers who I've kind of been neglecting in terms of my product reviews. You know, this is something that I do recommend a fair amount. In today's video, I will get into why I recommend it and why it is a good product. Irritation on the skin related to shaving is a very common issue. About 2/3 of all men experience some problem with their skin as a result of shaving their beard, whether it be razor burn or ingrown hairs. It's very common, probably the most common skincare complaint men have when presenting to the dermatologist. So we see a lot of it in dermatology and not uncommon. Beard hairs grow on average about 0.25 millimeters per day. And any one individual has, on average, anywhere from 6,000 beard hairs up to 25,000 beard hairs. So there's a lot of variability from man to man, individual to individual, in terms of the number of beard hairs that they have. The challenge in shaving lies in the fact that here you are having to remove this stiff, coarse, what's called a terminal hair, that dark black hair, to successfully cut that without impacting the smooth, soft underlying skin and compromising the skin barrier. When the skin barrier is irritated, agitated by that razor blade, that is what lends itself to irritation, to transepidermal water loss, inflammation coming into the skin, and redness after shaving and razor burn. So there are a lot of technical considerations that have to be accounted for in the engineering of a good razor. And razor blade design makes a huge impact as to the success of your shaving and your subsequent skin health thereafter. It's also a challenge in design in that individuals vary tremendously as far as their, not only the density of beard hairs from individual to individual, the direction in which those hairs grow, you know, on any given area. One individual's beard hair may grow, you know, more laterally, whereas the others may grow more in towards the face. So everyone differs in the direction of the hairs, and also from within an individual, two hairs right next to each other are going to vary as far as the direction they grow, and also their shape and their diameter. And those things play a huge role in the actual mechanics of cutting the hair. And there's also a lot of variability from facial site to facial site. Probably the toughest area, and the area in men that is most challenging to navigate, literally, is the neck. Here you have a couple of issues going on. First of all, the hair there grows at a much lower angle from the skin. So, you know, it's not as though the hair is growing out at a 90-degree angle from the surface of the skin. It tends to be a very, very close, a very, very short angle and close to the surface of the skin. And the reason that is tricky is that it has a tendency to pierce the neighboring skin and grow downward, resulting in what's called an ingrown hair, or one of those pesky razor bumps. Very problematic on the neck in particular, but of course can occur anywhere in the beard area. Not only that, but the skin on the neck is it's looser in its attachment to the underlying structures in comparison to the face. So you have a lot more laxity going on that you have to battle as far as getting a smooth shave. And then probably the factor most against you is the fact that you can't really effectively see that area. You have to tilt your head up, hence this, and that's really a challenge, particularly when you're coming at your skin with a razor blade. So the visibility is poor in that area, and the topography is variable. You have your underlying cartilages from your larynx here that you kind of have to get over. And depending on your body habitus, you may have some skin redundancy that you also have to kind of navigate as well under the chin. So those are significant challenges that need to be surmounted in getting an effective shave. And it is almost impossible, so much so that the majority of men will experience some issue with their skin related to shaving at some point in their lifetime. I mentioned the neck being a particularly challenging area with its visibility issues. So that is an area not only more prone to ingrown hairs, but also because you are getting into areas where you're ending up with a closer shave than others, you are whacking your skin and scraping it, and that impairs the skin barrier underneath and leads to loss of water and increased redness and irritation. And that's what gives rise to razor burn, often around the neck. But the act of cutting through the hair itself with the razor blade does a variety of things to the underlying skin structure. It places numerous directional forces on the skin and results in twisting of the skin. And around the hair follicle, where the hair actually comes out, there are these tiny little nerve fibers. And so as you have all of these forces being applied to the various topographies of the face in an irregular manner, you are very susceptible to irritation because those little nerves are kind of getting hit by your razor blade. And so this can trigger neuroinflammatory mediators into the skin that result in redness and irritation. And then skin penetration of the blade, if the loading of the blade tip is excessive, meaning you press too firmly, is going to result in nicking of the skin and little skin cuts. So a little bit about the razors and razor nomenclature but razors typically have a cartridge that contains multiple closely spaced blades, and oftentimes there are little springs between the blades that help to offload some of the forces of the blade on your skin and on your beard hair. Additionally, there is a thin guard and there is a lubricating strip. Now, when considering the issues related to shaving, you have to take into account that there are several forces that are applied to the skin and the hair. First, you have a force perpendicular to the skin surface, and that is due to the load of the cartridge from the razor onto the face, merely the act of pressing on the face. Then you also have forces going parallel to your skin, of you actually moving the razor back and forth. And then thirdly, you also have the force of the blade against the hair that has to occur. So you have three different forces that play a role in how the face fares essentially from shaving. First of all, with the perpendicular forces to the skin, you have the applied load of you putting the razor blade on. And so depending on your personality type, some users have a really firm placement and are a little too aggressive, and they press the razor to the face too tightly. You really want to have a very gentle hand. I mean, just lightly tapping the razor onto the surface. There's really no need to go mashing it onto the face. So that force really applies excessive pressure onto the skin, and you're going to end up dragging more so into a deeper layer of your skin and compromising your underlying skin barrier. But the hair itself does not require you to put that much pressure on perpendicularly in order to get a good cut. So be a little light-handed in your application. But also the choice of the razor makes a huge difference in this perpendicular force to the skin. And this can be exacerbated, that force can be further exacerbated and increased, lending itself to more irritation on the actual underlying skin if the razor cartridge itself has a particular edge that is angled in such a way that results in that. So that is where spring loading the razor blade cartridge, the razor blades within the cartridge can help to offset that perpendicular force. Larger cartridge, your cartridge size is also going to impact this perpendicular force quite a bit. Larger cartridges actually do a nice job offloading some of that perpendicular pressure onto your face, allowing you to get a good cut without mashing the skin underneath and without contributing to a significant perpendicular force onto the skin. And that's great because the deeper you push perpendicularly, the deeper you're going to cut into your skin barrier and cause problems. So the wider the blade, the better. Unfortunately, then this is compromised by the fact that the bigger the blade, the more tricky it is to navigate in tight areas where there is that very difficult topography, like around here in the neck, for example, around the chin. Those are areas where having a larger cartridge is going to present more challenges to you. The majority of cartridges will pivot back and forth as well relative to the handle, and this helps you offload some of that perpendicular pressure itself. So you get a little bit of offloading from the blades themselves. That will help, but it's all in the design of the razor blade. Honestly, it really makes a huge difference as to the outcome of your shave. The other perpendicular force on the skin surface, irrespective of the pressure of you actually pressing, is the blade's leading edge. So the blade leading edge that transmits that perpendicular pressure into the skin. And so the number of blades actually will influence this quite a bit, and the spacing between the blades themselves is also key. If there are too many blades and the blades are too widely spaced, then you end up with a huge cartridge, and that's not ideal. As more blades are added, the manufacturer can have less space between the blades and compact them together. This makes for a challenge, however, in that beard hairs, as they are cut, end up getting trapped in those narrow spaces between the blades, and that can cause drag and irritation and mess up the smoothness and directionality of your shave. And also can be an issue because as the spaces between the individual blades get too narrow, what ends up happening is a pinching phenomenon, where as you are moving the blades across the surface of the face, you're actually getting a little bit of a pinching force that can, cut into the skin at low levels, lead to transepidermal water loss and irritation. The skin itself presents a challenge in that there's quite a bit of stretch to the skin. It's kind of this elastic type, it has this elastic nature related to the underlying supportive framework of collagen and elastic fibers. So it's got some rubber band like consistency to it, and some bounce and some give that you're kind of going up against with the razor itself. So the skin elasticity and stiffness play a role in some of the parallel forces that go on, because you've got some bounce and some give to the skin that ends up hitting up against those blades as you are dragging the blade in a parallel manner across the skin. And the parallel forces that lead to irritation are a result of something called the coefficient of friction, as well as the actual force applied. The coefficient of friction is going to be influenced by other things going on your skin. So if your skin is dirty, if you've got a lot of oil on there, if you haven't washed your face, that is going to increase the coefficient of friction across as you drag the blade across the surface of the skin. Also, if the hairs themselves are very dry, that too will increase the coefficient of friction, and it creates more resistance to cutting forces. So it's really important as far as reducing that coefficient of friction to take into account lubrication. That will guarantee a much better outcome with your shave. Lubrication comes in the form of either stuff that you put on your face, which I'll talk a little bit about at the end of the video in terms of your shaving creams and prepping the skin. But it also comes from the razor cartridge itself. Razor cartridges contain an elastomer strip that is usually made up of a polymer called polyethylene oxide. And what this does is it has phenomenal water binding capacity, and the razor itself actually deposits some of this lubricant onto the surface of the skin. Now, the presence of that lubricant is very helpful in decreasing some of these frictional forces, but it declines and is compromised with subsequent use of the razor. So throughout the razor cartridge's life, that elastomer film, it starts to wane. So in other words, if you are somebody who keeps your cartridge on and you keep trying to get more and more shaves out of it, not only are you using blades that have been progressively dulled and you're increasing frictional forces on the skin, but you also have a lousy elastomer film on there that's not giving you a good enough lubrication to protect your skin, and that leads to more skin blade interaction reactions and more skin irritation. But yeah, this particular razor from Gillette, I strongly recommend. It is a little on the pricey side, but what it offers is 5 blades, and it has a variety of features to it that help to ensure a better shave, okay? And are designed, help it to promote a more comfortable close shave with less irritation and less chance of formation of those little ingrown hairs that are such a nuisance. It has a front pivoting cartridge, so that will help to offload some of those forces on the skin of you applying blade to skin. That is why I like it. It also has an elastomer fin guard and a very thin blade edge, and the spacing is such that it's a nice balance between offloading some of that skin pinching that happens between blades, while also not being too narrow or too wide to have a lot of stuff kind of get stuck up under the blades or between the blades. You do still need to rinse out the beard debris in between strokes, but this, you will find much less debris trapping within this particular razor than their double blade razor. This was compared to the Gillette Blue, which is a standard 2-blade razor, and resulted in superior outcomes as far as irritation related to shaving, razor burn, and ingrown hairs. You know, when you shave your face, whether it be a man or a woman, you are performing a mechanical exfoliation. You are, in effect, removing some of the skin barrier. And the more of that barrier you remove, the more irritation you are going to experience after shaving. And given the topography and the underlying issues that I discussed about hair growth and the direction of hair growth, it's really challenging to shave your beard in such a way that you are not inadvertently going too deep in other areas. So the engineering of this particular razor takes all of that into account and really does a good job ensuring a comfortable and close shave. All right, but how can you prep your skin before you shave? What is the best way to do that? The best way to do that is actually to wash the face, because what you want to do with washing the face is you want to hydrate the hair shaft. If you hydrate the hair shaft with water before shaving, this decreases the forces that are required of the blade on the hair in order to cut the hair. So you get a much better shave if the hairs are hydrated from water. To do this, you can use, I would recommend a fragrance-free gentle cleanser as a choice. And what this achieves is not only does it hydrate the hair, but it also allows for a little bit of exfoliation of any of the dead skin cells that might be built up there, as well as removal of grease and oil and sebum. And the reason this is important to kind of gently exfoliate all of that off pre-shave is that if you can imagine setting out to go on a run on a track and the track is covered with wet leaves, you probably want to rake up the wet leaves before you start doing your run. Otherwise, if you run and you hit one of those piles of wet leaves, you're probably going to slip and fall. Think of shaving your face as a similar thing. You want to rake the leaves, so to speak, before you start your run. And to do that, really all you need is just a basic fragrance-free face wash cleanser. You don't need something fancy whatsoever. And the best thing to do is lather it to the face and keep your skin wet with the lather for at least 2 minutes. That has been shown to optimally hydrate the hair shaft itself. So like I said, you're going to want to spend a little bit of time on this, but take the time. Take the 2 minutes to ensure a good lather and hydration of that hair shaft. It will make your shave go much better. So a 2-minute contact time with water and with the lather is a good idea. Outside of a fragrance-free cleanser, which I'll list some down below, an alternative, and one that I also really like, particularly if you are somebody battling ingrown hairs, is to select an acne face wash that contains the ingredient salicylic acid. And the reason I love using this as a pre-shave skin prep is that salicylic acid effectively will help to degrease the surface of the skin. It will also help to exfoliate some of those some of those built up skin cells. It is an active keratolytic ingredient. And thirdly, it will also help to soften the hair shaft alongside water. So it is really a powerful pre-shave prep ingredient. And all you need is an acne face wash to do this. You don't need some sort of fancy shave specific thing. You know, don't fall for whatever marketing. All you need is an acne face wash that contains 2, maybe 3% salicylic acid. My favorites are Zapsit because it is fragrance free. And my other favorite and one that I like is the Everyman Jack charcoal face scrub. It is a 2% salicylic acid fragrance-free face wash. Fragrance-free is really important in selecting your skincare for doing this, because fragrance compounds can further increase irritation that you experience related to your shave. Many of them act as vasodilators, so they're going to increase redness and irritation on the surface of your skin. You also want to avoid the ingredient menthol. It is common in a lot of men's skincare products because, you know, it causes that tingling sensation and leads you to believe that you're doing something effective for your skin. But actually the tingling, you know, it's irritation around those little sensory nerves as well as further vasodilation. So try and select skincare products that are free of menthol. It is a challenge. Many men's skincare products contain menthol. So try and avoid that as best you can. But there are many great, that's why I say choose a fragrance-free cleanser. I will list some down below, or fragrance-free acne wash. This is also a great choice. But after you have lathered up your face with either a cleanser or an acne wash and, you know, really gotten a good hydrating lather for 2-minute contact time, rinse that off, and then it's a good idea to use a shaving cream because this will help to lubricate the skin. This, and coupled with the lubricating technology of the razor blade cartridge, will really allow for optimal and smooth skin blade interactions. So I recommend of course a fragrance-free shaving cream or shaving gel. I'm particularly a fan of the Vanny Cream Sensitive Skin Shave Cream. So I will list that down below. That is a fantastic one. Lather to the beard area immediately after you rinse off that water and your beard hairs are hydrated. Go ahead and put on a fragrance-free shaving cream. Then next step, very important, take your time. Be very, very careful. Take your time, be patient, get your shave in, and also important, rinse out the razor after each stroke. Get those blades clean, get that gunk out from in between. If you don't rinse out the gunk from in between your razor blades, you are increasing the blade skin interactions and, you know, setting yourself up for more pinching and more dents and dings in your skin barrier and subsequent irritation. Once you've completed the shave, once you're done shaving, rinse off any of the residue from the shave. And then immediately, this is imperative, you should put on a moisturizer immediately to the wet skin. The reason this is important is you have just, in effect, done what is called mechanical exfoliation. No matter how good of a razor you select, no matter how good the razor was, no matter how good you were, and no matter how gentle-handed you were, the skin barrier is impaired at this point. It is like baby skin. So go ahead and put a fragrance-free moisturizer on. I recommend avoiding the use of products that contain alcohol because it can be drying. I recommend avoiding using moisturizers and things on your face that contain fragrance, again, because they can increase irritation. You can develop sensitivities to them. They can cause problems. And if you're a man with rosacea in the beard area, you definitely want to avoid those things. And thirdly, I recommend avoiding menthol again in your aftershave products. So a lot of the aftershaves actually have most of those kinds of ingredients in. So I recommend just using a plain fragrance-free moisturizer. I will list some down below. I recommend using a plain fragrance-free moisturizer applied immediately to the skin if you shave at night. If you shave in the morning, you should apply your sunscreen. Your sunscreens are moisturizers and they will protect your skin from UV throughout the day. So I will list some sunscreens that are moisturizing and fragrance-free down below in the description box that I think are good to apply immediately post-shave. But if you shave at night or in the evening time and it's after dark and you don't need to be wearing sun protection, then select a fragrance-free moisturizer. If you find that sunscreens are not moisturizing enough, then you can use again, a fragrance-free moisturizer, allow it to dry, and then put your sunscreen on. So yeah, those would be my tips for shaving. My favorite razor, the one I actually recommend. No, I'm not sponsored by Gillette, and I do like this razor and recommend it a lot. So I hope these tips were helpful for you guys out there, guys. As far as the ladies who are watching, who will ask me about this, many of you have watched some of my videos about how I shave my face, and I have shaved my face. I would say for women, just like men, some of the same factors come into play. The topography issues are still there. You can get ingrown hairs. Personally, for me, I don't shave my face that frequently. So I'm not the best at shaving my face. I don't keep up with it. I don't really care. So I just, it's not my thing. But many of you ladies out there shave your face and or do microblading. So be aware that some of these techniques and some of these challenges relate to you as well. The skin on women's faces is thinner than men, so we're more prone to irritation. We're also prone to little ingrown hairs. So yeah, those are my tips for shaving the face. My favorite razor, one I recommend to men who are struggling with ingrown hairs in the beard and razor burn. But comment below on what men's products you guys out there, men, use. I want to do more skincare videos for you guys. More men's type things. Unfortunately, the market is saturated in women's skincare, and I say unfortunately, but it might actually bode in your favor because you have fewer insults coming at you as far as things that can potentially irritate and aggravate your skin. So, less is more always, but taking the time out in the morning or evening whenever you shave, and really dedicating time and taking your time and being patient, that'll help a lot. But anyways, yeah, check the description box below for sunscreens, moisturizers, face washes that I recommend for doing alongside of this. Comment below on what products you guys use and like. I'd love to know. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.